Hello, my Grotzen Gifts. This is going to be a fairly quick one. A lot of people are asking the question, are new Grey Knights busted because they have some sick combos? Well, the short answer is no, they're not busted, but there is some crazy cool stuff they can do. And honestly, the mortal wound output that they can actually accomplish is very scary. But trust me, there's going to be some counterplay, and I'm going to talk to you about it in this video. If you like this stuff, hit the like, share with your friends, subscribe. Support me on either YouTube memberships or on my coffee, which is in the link down below. If you join either of those programs, you get to sign up to the members exclusive area of the Discord where we're walking through tactics and strategies and camaraderie every single freaking day, and we would love to have you in there. Anyway, let's get into this video. Grey Knights have insane mortal wound output. Like, it might actually be the most mortal wounds that any army has ever been able to do. Now, historically, this title of the Mortal Master has gone to the T-Sons, but this one is scary. However, unlike the T-Sons mortal wound output, this one is not really abusive, and I'm going to kind of explain why. There's a lot of counterplay with it. So, certain armies, T-Sons for example, there's basically nothing you can do about the crazy mortal wounds output that's coming your way. The freaking Infernal Master will overwatch with the Flamer. He will flip the dice to a 6. You will take, I don't know, like a million freaking mortal wounds from him. You will take the Doom Bolt. You will take the double Doom Bolt. You will take all the devastating wounds from the entire army. That's always going to have rerolls to wound to fish somehow. It's abusive, and there's just no interaction with it. There's no way that you can counteract it. With Grey Knights, however, they put out almost just as many mortal wounds, but there's interaction, which I find very intriguing, and I think Games Workshop did an amazing job of making this detachment, and I'm going to show you how it works. So I'm going to show you how to set up all the mortal wound output for the army, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're going to kind of counterplay it some. So, the real thing about the Grey Knights and why it's not abusive is because the majority, not all, but the majority of the mortal wound output that this new detachment can put out is largely in control of your opponent. It's however many mortal wounds your opponent wants to accept is typically how much mortal wounds they're going to take. And I love that design. So let's get into the mortal wound sources that Grey Knights have, and I'll kind of expand a little bit more on what I'm talking about here. All right, so mortal wound sources, here we go. First off is grenades. Now, most armies in the game have access to grenades. Still not Custodes, rest in peace, but most of them do. However, all of the infantry for Grey Knights actually have the grenades keyword outside of servitors. There might be a few characters, like the librarian doesn't have the grenades keyword, so there might be a few characters who don't have it, but all of the paladins, terminators, your purifiers, your purgation, and your strikes, and your interceptors all have the grenades keyword. So that is just going to be an average of 3 mortal wounds every time you spend a CP, which is solid. Then you have the Vortex of Doom, and this one is always scary for both the Grey Knight player and your not Grey Knight player, the opponent of the Grey Knights. It's either going to deal 0 damage because they roll a 1 and blow themselves up, or it's going to roll 2d3 mortal wounds, which can be very scary, but it can also be kind of a nothing burger. Or it can roll 2d6 mortal wounds, and that is very scary. So now this is going to be the part of the mortal wounds that you as the Grey Knight's opponent don't really have much control over, but the rest of it you will. So Radiant Champion, this is going to be precision. And so the enhancement's going to give precision to the character who has it, and it's also going to get them to cause an extra bonus mortal wound for every wound allocated to the enemy unit in melee. So if they wound you 3 times, you're going to take whatever damage you're going to take, whether you pass or saves, fair or saves, and then you're also going to take an additional 3 mortal wounds. So this is, listen, man, if you're in combat with a character who has that, you know there's going to be mortal wound coming towards you. So you have the ability to react with positioning errors, things like this. Not much you can do about the actual Vortex of Doom because they're going to deep strike and slap you. It just is what it is. Then we look at the 2 stratagems. The first one is going to be the Fires of the Covenant, which is one of my favorite stratagems. I think this thing is freaking awesome. And I'm going to talk about in depth on how you're going to avoid these mortal wounds, and I'm going to talk about how the Grey Knight player themselves is going to cause the mortal wounds. And then the other one is the Flames of Sanctity. So let's get into the first one. Honestly, this doesn't require too much explanation, but I think it's really important for you guys to see it. So I set up a visual for you so that you can kind of grasp it. So how are we going to set up the Fires of Covenant? First off, what is the Fires of Covenant? Well, if you watched my video earlier, you already know, but just for those who missed it, Fires of Covenant for 1 CP, start of your opponent's movement phase. 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy is set up or ends a normal advance or fallback move within 6 inches of your unit, roll 1d6, adding 2 to the result if you're wholly within your hallowed ground. So on a 4-up, your unit's going to suffer d3 mortal wounds. So if you're wholly within your hallowed ground, and remember, purifiers are always wholly within hallowed ground, that'll be on a 2-up. So the cool thing about this strat, which I'm not sure everyone's really fully grasping yet, but I'm sure a lot of people are, is this applies to every unit in your opponent's army that is going to end up within 6 inches of this one enemy unit, or this one Grey Knight unit. So what I've done here is I put a little diagram just to show you how much space a 6-inch aura can really be. So this is one Purifier squad that is led by Castellan Crow. This could happen turn 1 if your Grey Knight player happens to go second, because they just, well, you pick them up and then you spend 1 CP to deep strike them 6 inches away from your opponent, and you could just be 6 inches outside of the deployment zone very, very easily, or elsewhere, just, depending on where your opponent is standing. But this is, just to kind of demonstrate exactly how large an area you can make. So this one unit is basically putting one. It's nice because it's doing some move blocking. It's very expensive, by the way, so it's not like this is free for the Grey Knights. So they're doing some decent move blocking for the opponent's army, but at the same time, every single unit from the enemy's army that actually wants to move at all forward up the map, even if they want to stage behind the walls here, like you see that massive this massive wall right in the middle, ruin right in the middle, they're gonna have to take D3 mortal wounds on 2-up. Like, this is extremely powerful. And since it's a Purifier squad, it's always going to be on 2-ups. If it was another squad, you would have to control 2 objectives in no man's land to proc this, right? So you basically look at your opponent and you say, hey, listen, if any of your units, all of your units, every single one of your units that moves within 6 inches, whether it's an advance, normal move, or fallback, or just getting set up. So say you have a 3-inch deep strike, which I think is disappearing from the game, or disembarking, something like that. You're going to take D3 mortal wounds on a 2-up. And so your opponent gets to make the decision. It's like, okay, do I eat the mortal wounds, or do I have to find some way around this? And this is why I love the strat and why I think it's fair, because it gives your opponent the opportunity to counterplay the crazy amount of mortal wounds that can occur. Sometimes your opponent's going to say, you know what, it's best for me just to eat the mortal wounds to the face. Sometimes your opponent's just going to be like, you know what, I don't need to. I don't even need to move this turn. You wasted your CP. Congratulations. This is the cool thing. Now, your opponent can also counterplay this by saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to have my Calidus 11 inches away from where you're going to want to deep strike. Because now, once we want to spend your CP for this, it's going to cost you 2 CP. And then I also still don't have to move, so I could really drain your CP that way. So there's a lot of counterplay with this particular strat, which I love. But there's also a lot of really good aggressive play that you can set up with it, which is also freaking awesome. Now let's talk about the other strat that has just a spamming of mortal wounds. And by the way, for those of you who are commenting, who are going to be commenting on this, be like, oh, that's stupid. Why would you ever put a 10-man unit of purifiers up like that? Chill. This is for examples to demonstrate how you would do it. You're going to find your own unique ways to make it work best for you. But I just want to give everyone a head start on how to think about it. So let's look at the other strat. This is going to be Flames of Sanctity, which is also a very freaking cool strat. The Flames of Sanctity, for those of you who don't remember, is end of the fight phase, one Purifier squad unit from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit, adding 1 to the result if your unit includes Castellan Crow, and on a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So if you have Crow, it's going to be on a 3-up for everyone. If you don't have Crow, it's going to be on a 4-up for everyone. So let me just kind of show you how I set that up right here. So effectively what I've got is I've got some one unit of Beast Snagga Boys in the middle, one unit of Beast Snagga Boys on the left, some Storm Boys on the right, and we have a truck on the left. So I'm going to charge my big Purifier squad in, and I'm going to split my attacks. I'm going to kill the Beast Snagga Boy squad in the middle, which I'm assuming they're just going to die under the weight of the attacks I have at them. And let's say the one on the left mostly dies, but doesn't quite fully die. Well, what's going to end up happening is at the end of the fight phase, after I do my consolidations, so let's say I can consolidate these two guys who are still on the objective and not engaged with the middle unit of Beast Snagga Boys, I can consolidate them to the right because they're going to need to end closer to the closest enemy unit. Maybe not in engagement range, but just closer. I could actually get that 6-inch aura to extend to the second Storm Boy unit that is outside of the aura. So if you see the little pink aura, that represents a 6-inch bubble. So then I could get all of these things. So then whatever Beast Snaggas happen to survive from the left squad will take D3 mortals. The truck will take D3 mortals. And both Storm Boy squads will end up taking D3 mortals after my consolidate because it happens at the end of the fight phase. You also don't need to use it unless you're like, oh crap, this one model happened to live on 1 wound. Boom! There you go. This is such an awesome strat, and it works better when you have Castellan Crow, which makes me think that basically every single Grey Knight player that's going to be using this detachment is going to want to be taking Castellan Crow. So there you go, guys. These are the sources of mortal wounds. You're going to have an insane amount of mortal wounds. I would not be surprised if some legendary Chad out there just easily puts out like 25, 30 mortal wounds in a turn. The reason why I'm not concerned about this is because there is absolutely counterplay to it. You have the ability to where to position your models of whether or not you're going to fall for the traps of these mortal wounds. Now, once again, yes, the Vortex of Doom is a very strong ability. There's not much you can do about that. But when it comes to this particular part of the game, you can control it. And that's why it's not busted. There is counterplay. And honestly, Games Workshop just made a really freaking cool detachment. And don't forget, yes, all these offensive stratagems are in here, and there's a lot of power in this new detachment, but they lost all of their defensive buffs. They don't have Miscedamus. They don't have an AOC. They do not have anything at all. They have a 4-up invuln in shooting on units that already have a 2-up armor save. So all the defensive buffs are gone. This is just a pure aggression army that will die to someone sneezing at it pretty hard. So cool it if you think that this is busted. It's not. There is a lot of counterplay here, but it's really, really cool. So try it out. Let me know how many mortals you are going to be able to spam with this army, and I'm looking forward to hearing from each and every single one of you. I think I may be able to come back one more time today. It just depends on what happens after I finish dinner. So until next time, crump on, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the Vanilla Marines, which, while it might be called Vanilla Marines, I'm really freaking excited for. Happy crumbing. Bye-bye.